Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today on our session to show you Access Global NewsBank and Access UK and Ireland and how you can use these resources to enhance your library and share them with your patrons. My name is Catherine Bergerson. I am the Vice President of Marketing at NewsBank. I'll be joined today by my colleague, Peter Dodd. And in the background, Abby Hogland is our producer of today's session. You may hear us reach out to her. Just to let you know, the session is recorded and we'll send out a copy of the presentation following today's event. Right now is really the perfect time to be taking a look at how you can leverage digital news resources. As we know, in today's world, digital resources and online access has never been more critical. And with NewsBank, you're bringing the most credible, comprehensive content available to your patrons and students, whether they're utilized in the library or remotely. In this session, it's our goal to share with you really what is Access Global NewsBank? How can you get the most out of it to help your various patron types and user groups? We'll share some best practices to help find relevant results quickly, provide our top engagement strategies, and we do have time for some questions and answers. If we run short on time, we do commit to getting back to you in the near future. If you'd like to submit a question, you'll see some icons on the left side of your screen. You just click on that, it'll open up, type it in there, and again, we'll do our best to get to all of them. So feel free to enter them throughout the presentation, and we will answer them as we pause. So if that sounds good to everyone, we'll dive right in. Just a brief background on NewsBank. We are a leading news and information provider to research institutions, public libraries, K-12 institutions, and we're proud to share that we recently celebrated our 51st anniversary as a company. So we aggregate sources from all around the world, and they feature a customizable interface that empowers patrons and researchers to really easily read, search, browse over thousands of national and regional and local titles. We have really key cities, particularly Birmingham, Bristol, Edinburgh, Glasgow, Leeds, London, Liverpool, Manchester, and many more from all around the globe, and many of which are unique to NewsBank. And all of them are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week from any device. So now to take a walk through Access Global NewsBank and Access UK and Ireland, I will turn it over to my colleague, Peter Dodd. Hi, Peter.
Hi, Catherine. Thank you very much. I appreciate that introduction. So I'm going to spend some time with you now delivering a brief demo of Access Global NewsBank, Access UK and Ireland. The interface, which you can now see on the screen in front of you, this is the landing page that libraries generally request for their patrons to land on once they've entered their authentication details. The only difference between Access UK and Ireland and Access Global NewsBank is the content. The interface that you're seeing is exactly the same. It's just the UK and Ireland is a subset of the global content, focusing specifically on the UK and Ireland. The interface that NewsBank have developed has been designed to work with the variety of different groups of users that libraries will have, everything from people who just want to read the local newspaper or the national newspaper, students who may be coming in at college level or university level, wanting to carry out research. There are different ways of accessing the content to help people with differing levels of knowledge of how to use search interfaces. You'll see here in front of us a large search bar. Now that looks like a Google search bar because that is what people are so familiar with nowadays. It doesn't actually work in that way, in that it won't try and tell you what it thinks you want to know. It operates as a proper library search. You can put anything you want in there, be it a newspaper title, a query that you may want to run on a name, event, topic, and it will query the entire database. We have here some more search options, which I'll just highlight for you. And these are the sort of library search that perhaps a lot of librarians will be more familiar with, where you can query against any of the fields held within NewsBank. You can use the Boolean operators to build up those multi-level searches. And it's worth mentioning at this point that NewsBank supports proximity searching and wildcards, just to give you that full search capacity. Below this here is a map. Now, I'm in our global NewsBank package. Our 2024 package has more than 8,000 sources from around the world. And as I hover over particular regions of the world, you'll see that they turn blue. That's because we can drill down into that content to narrow down to individual countries, or further into some even further down. But over here on the left, if I want to, I can just click next to Europe and I can search European content. If I want to see the list of sources that are available from Europe, I can just click there on the number of sources and it will take me through to that list of sources. And we have here something that we find throughout the whole of NewsBank, our intelligent search box. And I can start to just type and it narrows down the content to actually be closer to the source that we're actually looking for. If I click on Europe here, I can then be taken down, as I mentioned, to individual countries, and I can, for example, just filter down to England if I want to. I'm now going to jump back to the front page. At the top, we have an A to Z source list. This is a list of all of the content that is available within NewsBank. NewsBank presents many different, isn't just newspapers, there's web-only sources, there are magazines, there are journals, there's video content, and I'll show you an example of that when I run a search in a moment. But you can at this point select by any of these columns, and you can use that intelligent search to narrow it down if you want to, for example, language, format, location, the name, etc. NewsBank contains text, video, but there is also image content, which if I just flip that, you can see all the different titles which are available in image, and I will show you how that presents in a moment. Next to source list at the top, we have our session folder. Once a library user has authenticated using the library method, they can then create a personal folder within the resource using their email address, and that opens up further functionality to them, where it enables them to save searches, to save content. So if they're working on an ongoing project, perhaps it's a local library user who's doing some local history work, they can save that content in there to then come back to it at a later date. It also allows you to create alerts, so NewsBank will tell you when news stories come in matching your search criteria, and in a moment I'll show you how that works. At the bottom of the screen, I mentioned at the beginning that we have a variety of different methods for accessing content, and Catherine mentioned the adaptability of the interface to suit a library's needs. On the right here we have our quick links. These blue boxes are created by us in conjunction with the library themselves to focus on content that they think is going to be of particular use to them. You'll see I have some here which pick out particular countries, but down the bottom here you'll see I have some that pick out individual titles like the Times, the Telegraph. As I say, we can create those for you, and then we can monitor them based on usage, and we can always amend them as time goes by. One of the great pieces of functionality that appeals to younger users, and we have some libraries who do talk to their school users about this, suggested topics. These are pre-built searches developed by our content specialists. If I click on business and economics as an example, that then opens up a range of different subjects where we have built searches for you. And if I click on one of these, for example, European Union, it will then show us the search results that are related to that, the 468,000 related to that search. The search is always presented at the top so that you can see how it's been created, and this is just based on headlines and word count. But at this point, you can yourself start to amend that search to narrow it down to what you want. Just another way for people to access content more easily. There is one that is slightly different, and that is trending research topics. This is something that has been added to highlight specific topics that are popular within people searching and using NewsBank. You can see things here that you'll be familiar with: global warming, inflation, the wars in Israel, Gaza, Ukraine, Russia, for example. So that gives you a quick overview of the interface and some of that search criteria. So what I'm now going to do is run a basic single word search, and then I'll take us into the search results and show you how the content presents. So I've run a single word search there, and we've got over 2 million results. In the center of the panel, we get a headline We get a date. You'll notice that a couple of these are forward dated. That is because we have monthly and quarterly journals and magazines included, so they will sometimes pop at the top, because over here I've got newest rather than oldest or best match selected. It may be that once you create a more detailed search, best match works for you, but I've got it set to newest. You often get the author of the article, a bit of volume information, and then we get a Lexile level, which is a reading level. You then have a preview button so that you can have a look at the start of the article to see if it's something you want to read. Now, obviously, I've got 2.2 million results. That's an awful lot, but I've done that deliberately so that I can show you on the left all of the different filter options that we've got available. I mentioned that NewsBank contains lots of different source types, and you can see here audio, blog, college, university, newspaper, journal, magazine. Each of them has an icon next to them, which corresponds to an icon underneath the article here. And if you want to, you can narrow down to the particular one that you're looking for. So in this case, newspaper. And you can see straight away, it's dropped down to 1.3 million results. We have a couple of different date options. You can enter the date in a wide range of different formats to narrow it down, or we have this date selector, which some people, dependent on the learning style that you have, actually like to use rather than typing. You can actually just click and narrow it down to a range of years or an individual year if you want to. And something that I think's really neat, and we often talk to libraries about, is actually it will show you the number of articles that relate to that particular month. So certainly if you're looking at trends, it's quite an interesting one to check. Further options for filtering down on the left are year. Now I've narrowed it down to 2, but if I wanted to, I can narrow it down further just to a single year. You may be looking for a particular source name, maybe your local newspaper. If I click on source name and more options, that will produce for me a list of all of the content, all of the sources that it has found results for, and the number of articles. And at this point, you can start to narrow it down to particular titles. So I was going to go for the Manchester Evening News as an example, and you can see I can then filter down just to that one if that is what I would like to do. Source location links back to the map I showed you earlier, and again you can narrow down to any of the particular regions around the world. I'll narrow down to Europe for the purpose of what I'm doing here. At the bottom we have Lexile level, and then also have language as well. There are multiple languages available within NewsBank, and this is an option to allow you to narrow down to those. Here, once I've got a number of articles, it may be that I want not just one, but a group of articles. NewsBank allows you to select up to 20 at a time, and at that point, you can get citation information for the articles. You can email those articles, you can print them, you can download them, or you can save them to your folder, just in case you want to come back to them later. This is also the point you can create an alert. If you're happy with the search that you've created, but you want to monitor it on an ongoing basis, then if you hit the Create Alert button, it'll allow you to put in an email address, and then you can select a frequency of up to 4 times a day. NewsBank offers something called an integrated collection for a lot of our titles, and that's where we offer the text version of a newspaper. We offer the image version of that newspaper, but then we also offer, where we can, the web version. And that's done for a number of different reasons. The 2 primary ones are, newspaper is a snapshot of the news at the time that paper was printed. We all know from our local or national newspapers that websites are producing content all day long. So by having access to that content and to that web content, and we're taking up to 4 feeds a day in some cases, you are getting news as it happens in a much more sort of timely way than you would if you just had that printed newspaper, which may not appear till the following day. The other reason is that web content, the articles, even though an article may appear in the print newspaper and you can find that online, the online article may be longer. That's because it doesn't have the same page restrictions as you would find within the printed newspaper. So you often get a different headline because it's search optimized, just to give you that additional content that your users will want to see. So I'm just going to show you how the text content presents, and I'll pick this particular article here. This is the presentation screen for all of our text-based content, and will show you the image-based content in a moment and show you how that works. You can see here it's highlighted our search term in Brexit. We've got the headline, the date, the source name, the page number, the number of words, Lexile level. NewsBank's Access Global NewsBank contains a couple of accessibility options. We have the ability to enlarge the font, and we also have a read speaker so you can have any article read to you. We've tried to use iconography that people will be familiar with across the top, so you'll probably recognize most of these from your daily IT usage, but I will run through them for you. Citation tools, if you have students using your libraries, then they will want to be able to export it to a particular piece of software or request that to be generated in a particular format for them. That is there then. You can email that article to an individual or a range of people. You can print it. You can download it as a PDF or save it to Google Drive. You can save it to your personal folder, which I talked about earlier. Or one of the great pieces of functionality within NewsBank is all of the text-based articles and image-based pages have permanent links. That means that you can drop those into social media posts or promotions that you're doing if they talk about yourselves, just something that allows you to be able to use that article. And then there is also a Share to Google Classroom button in case people are using that. I'll now jump over to the image-based option, and to do that I'm going to show you a bit of functionality using one of the quick links. So if I click on the Daily Telegraph and Sunday Telegraph as an example, you can see here the different versions of the Telegraph that NewsBank holds within Access Global NewsBank and within Access UK and Ireland for that matter. We have the text version of the newspaper going back to 2000. That is something that NewsBank is very strong with. We have long tail archives on a lot of our content. For example, the Times of London goes right back to 1982 to enable people not just to look at today's edition, but also to get back to that older historical content for any work they may be doing or anything they want to read. So we've got the text version there, we've got the image version. The Telegraph used to produce blogs, so we've got those. The journalism and media sort of landscape has changed a lot over the last few years, impacted by COVID and other things, and a lot of newspapers have either merged together or no longer in print. What we do is we keep those on file, so you have that content even when it is ceased to be produced moving forward, so that people can access that older content if they're looking for something in their local paper again that happened a few years ago, but the paper is no longer in print, they can still access that. And then at the bottom you can see we've got the web edition articles going back to 2012. If I click on any of these, and I'm going to click on the image one here, I'm then going to be presented with a calendar. That calendar allows me to select a particular date. Now, if I do that with the text version, I'm presented with a list of headlines, but I'm going to do that with today's version of the Telegraph. And I am then presented with the image version of today's Telegraph. So it is just like looking at today's newspaper as it would be if you bought it from a shop and took it home with you. The functionality here is slightly different, so I'm just going to run through that for you. On the right-hand side, we have thumbnails, so you can actually scroll through those and pick a particular page that you're looking for. We also have previous and next page, so you can, as if you're just flipping the page of a newspaper, work your way through it. But then we also detail all of the different page numbers. Now you'll notice that they start with A and then B and then C. That is because we separate all the different sections of the newspaper where we can, especially with the nationals. We take the Sunday supplements and magazines and include all of that content. And so it just helps people get to where they want to go. The thumbnails on the right can be hidden, as can the top of the screen to start to enlarge your reading pane. But if you want to make it bigger still, we have an enlarge and make small button so that you can actually click and move it around to actually get to the particular article that you want to read. It's worth noting that NewsBank is mobile adaptable. It will recognize the type of device that you're using, be that an Apple phone or a Kindle, and it will work with that screen size. So the thumbnails will become a drop-down menu, and the picture will be there in front of you so that you can get straight on with it. The majority of these buttons across the top are the same as they were with the text, but there are a few that are different. So I'll just run through those. There's a search button. All of the text on these image pages here are full text searchable. You may know there's an article that you want to read in today's newspaper, but you don't know where it is. So you have the ability here to search the issue or to search a particular page to find the article that you're looking for, just to save you having to scroll through all of the pages. There is a button here to allow you to see exactly what it is, the image that your day's newspaper that you're looking at. Citation tools are included: email, print, download, save to my folder, copy link, share to Google Classroom are all exactly the same. The one that is further different is there's a clip tool. This allows you to be able to highlight particular areas of the newspaper, and that includes the pictures, the graphs, the charts, the crosswords, anything you may be looking for, and to highlight those and that area of the page, print it, download it, or save it to Google Drive. Additional functionality to make sure that your users can use this content to its fullest and get the happiest sort of user experience out of it. I'm just going to jump back to the front page now and show you one further feature at the bottom, which is a help file. If your users or anybody are stuck, there is a link here at the bottom to a help file which launches a PDF which contains a lot of instructions on how to do things, everything from a basic search, proximity searching, to how to print, to everything, and also contains some links to some videos. And with that, I'll hand over to Catherine. Thank you very much.
Peter, thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, let's pause here for questions. Again, I'll remind you, you'll see a little chat icon likely on the left side of your screen. Click on that and a box will open up. You can type your questions in there. We do have a few here, Peter. One is related to the suggested topics that you shared. What if there is a topic that someone would like to recommend, but they don't see it in that area? How do they let NewsBank know?
Yeah, we welcome suggestions for our suggested topics. Actually, we encourage any library who gets feedback, there's something missing, there's something they'd like to see, to click up here at the top of the screen. There is a share feedback button. If you click on that, that allows you actually to leave feedback, leave that suggestion. That comes straight through to our content team, and they can then explore that, make sure that there is the content available, and we would then add that to the suggested topics list.
Wonderful, thank you. A question about filtering by languages. You mentioned filtering by languages. How many, could you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so NewsBank, if I just bring that search back up, NewsBank contains about 16 plus languages now. And if you filter down to them, you can start to choose whichever ones you want. And there's everything in there from Malay to Afrikaans, Spanish, Portuguese. So about 16 languages, but a very wide range.
Wonderful, thank you. That was a great question. And then during the demo, you showed some color image editions. Are there others available?
We have more than 350 image editions, full color image editions included within our NewsBank Access Global NewsBank package, and we are adding them all year long constantly. So we've got a plan this year to add further to the 350, I think it's about 380 that are actually in this 2024 package, but we will be adding more as the year goes on. And again, we welcome suggestions from libraries about particular titles that they would like to see available.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for those terrific questions, Peter. Thank you for showing us around the resource. In the interest of time, we are going to move on. And now that we've seen really how to pinpoint information and what is truly in this resource, I'd like to share with you several engagement strategies that the NewsBank team offers to help you get the information into the hands of your patrons and students and your end users. So I always like to share ideas from other librarians. So I thought I'd share with you some strategies that we've created and some that we've seen other libraries use to get these news resources into the hands of more people. So number one, host a hands-on training. We know that staying on top of visibility and staff training can be a lot of work. And when you get a new resource or perhaps you have new staff, we recommend hosting a hands-on training, very much like what Peter just shared with us. And in fact, I suggest you can invite people into the library, you can host it virtually like this session. And I encourage you to even use Peter's presentation. You'll all receive a recording, so feel free to share it or make it your own with others who may find it beneficial. So number two is to build your online web presence. We have some great examples here. Perhaps you have a featured resource of the month or a did you know section. Add Access Global NewsBank or your NewsBank resources. We have graphics and brief products descriptions that you can use. I certainly appreciate, and we certainly appreciate, that some libraries have limited control over web design and what you can use, but here are some examples from some customers we have in Lancashire, the City of Westminster, and others, and you can see how they incorporate it, or reach out to us, and if we can be of help and help brainstorm ideas, we're happy to, because we know that the more places you can add it and the more entry points on your website, the more likely it is that people will use it. So number 3, I call it newsletter nuggets. If you have an electronic newsletter that you send out, or perhaps it's even an internal newsletter to staff or faculty or students, include a blurb from time to time about Access Global NewsBank. We have ready-to-use language, again, and graphics. Feel free to just cut and paste it, customize it for your library, but again, they make a great addition to your newsletters. And 4, video views. Video is the #1 way to engage, and we really have a robust selection of brief videos, most are less than 2 minutes. They range from how-to tutorials, product overviews, and more. They're available to download. We encourage you to use our videos and add the links on your website near the resource, or if you have a YouTube channel, or again, your newsletters, social media sites. You can see here how Frankston Library incorporated several videos onto their web pages. And again, Lancashire posted one of Peter's training videos on their website for patrons to watch on demand. So again, those videos or the on-demand trainings can be very helpful. And again, we're happy to share our links with you or help you set it up. So up next, say it on social. NewsBank makes social easy for you. We have ready-to-use social media posts and graphics for librarians to use to let people know more about the resource, how to access it, and much more. You can here's some examples of how several libraries used the graphics and information we provided to make their own promotion of Access UK and Ireland. We encourage you, again, to use ours as an inspiration or to create your own, but it's a great way to just help to augment your social media and continue to come up with new ideas and posts. Also, something that we do at NewsBank for our customers, we create posts ranging from topics of interest, recipes, days of the month, maybe lesser known holidays and more, pulling an article from Access Global NewsBank or other resources to help just kind of create fun and new and interesting ways for people to get into the NewsBank database. Here you can see National Cake Day, and then there's a link into the database for more recipes on cake. Cornwall Libraries used our post on National Read Aloud Day. And again, once people are in the database and start exploring, we see that they continue to use and look for other articles and topics. So those are our top 5 engagement strategies. And I want to let you know, okay, so where do you find all of this? Feel free to download today's presentation. There is a handout or download section, again, on those icons that you'll see. Just click on that. If you download today's presentation, there's a direct link to everything that we shared today, so you don't have to hunt and peck around. Also, I want to encourage you to visit our Marketing Resource Center. Here you can find all the things we talked about, and much more. We have bookmarks, search tips, printables that you can use in your library. And again, that link to those ready-to-use social media posts, you can sign up actually for those, and we will send them out to you monthly. So, and also a plug, if perhaps you aren't the marketing or communications person for your library, I encourage you to share the link or this resource or the Marketing Resource Center, and they may find it valuable too. As a marketing person, I know that I always like to see how other people do things, and if content is there that I can use and use as a springboard, it's always helpful. So I encourage you to share it with your colleagues. Today's presentation is just one step in our commitment to working with you. If you have additional questions, you think of something later, please reach out to us, send us an email. We commit to getting back to you in the very near future. As you log out today, please take a moment to let us know what you thought about today's survey or today's session. We have a very brief survey. On behalf of the NewsBank team, thank you for sharing part of your day with us. We hope you have some actionable ways to get out there and get your NewsBank resources into the hands of your patrons, or if we can answer more questions about how we can get it into your library, please let us know. Thanks. Have a good day.